Lots? How much? Give me a ballpark figure. £200. And if you could put your phone number beneath it, that'd be lovely. 500 quid? Really? Amazing.
400, something like that.
400?
Wow! 300.
300? For that?
I'm a student, I'm skint.
I've got hobbit feet. Is that a problem?
Just keep your socks on.
Keep this. Guys, how much would you pay for me? 50 quid? £20?
500.
£75? £250? 10 grand? Hey, don't turn her off that. That's the best offer I've had so far. 5,000. I just got increased. I just got a raise.
£100 an hour.
I think I've actually just been given a real offer. £1,000. The penis just ups me by £500. I'm seriously considering this as a career. If it's that easy to get that kind of money, how many blokes have had that thought process? I was beginning to wonder if I could make some serious money from this. My curiosity had been aroused, and if truth be told, the thought of getting paid for sex was a real turn-on. Later that month, back home in London, it took no time at all to find a whole host of online agencies who were looking for new male escorts. I decided to take the plunge.
Dear Sir, Madam. This is quite fun. I'm really thinking about it. If I was trying to put an advert on Loop for a second-hand car, this is effectively what I'm doing here. 300 previous owners, good little runner, does leak a bit. That's basically what I'd put. I'm a genuine, friendly and confident character and am able to begin work immediately.
Later that evening, I was having friends over for a barbecue, so I decided to tell them my plans and see what they thought of it all. If I'm having so much sex anyway, why don't I get money for doing it?
You know what I worry though? You kind of get a taste for it. It's affording you like a lifestyle. You're getting paid for sex, you love it. Then it actually becomes a habit. That will definitely affect your personal life and your relationship with women.
If you were in a relationship, while you were a male escort, what would you tell your partner?
Personally, I don't think I'd be able to enter into a committed relationship whilst I was doing that profession.
This is the least occupational change for anyone I've ever met. It's like going from working in a hardware store to fucking selling hammers or something.
I think, to be honest though, like you say, someone said, what if you have like 2 or 3 customers in a night? Yeah. Then I would have to be able to meet that demand, wouldn't you?
No, but then this is the thing. If you have 2 new customers, you're a prostitute.
Isn't it all the same thing? It's just under a different name?
No,
I think so.
You don't have to have sex if you're an escort. You might just go for dinner, or she might say, oh, I'm doing an event, I haven't got into sex, do you want to come with me? Yeah. So you'll be her date, and that's it.
I'd never really considered the prospect of being hired just for company. I'd assumed it was all about sex. But a quick search online the next day brought up various sites advertising purely companionship. One of these was Cavendish Nights. I arranged to meet with Tony Perry, the owner, to find out if there was such a thing as a non-sexual male escort.
Male escort's an unfortunate term. We don't like it. We call them companions.
It's very clear on the bottom of the website, it's a non-sexual service. Have any of the nights in the past ever crossed that boundary and you found out about it and you've had to strike them off the books?
It doesn't happen. It's not an issue. Women are far more sophisticated in that way than we are.
Yeah.
If she wants a man for other reasons, she can go and hang out in a wine bar and go home with a man. She doesn't need to hand over money for it.
Yeah.
They're looking for somebody who's going to actually look reasonable on their arm at, say, Uncle Fred's wedding. Being too attractive can actually be a disadvantage. She wants to hire somebody to escort her to these various functions, and not somebody who's going to attract a lot of attention, but somebody who's going to detract attention from them.
What kind of client could I expect, do you think?
First of all, predominantly it's a professional woman going to a business-related function. She typically is going to be in the age group of 30 to 50.
Okay.
She may be large, she may be slim, she may be beautiful, she may be average. You have to be able to let your personality through, but at the same time...
Make sure the experience is about them. It's about them.
You've got it. We are constantly taking new people on.
Do you mind me asking as well, what's the kind of numbers that you might have on the books at any one time? Is there a very large number?
We publicise that on our website. We actually have over 2,000 men between the ages of 19 and 71. At any given time, we probably have 900 to 1,000 of those who are active.
Okay. Where do I kind of fit in the terms of the current nights that you have?
I would say right bang down the middle.
Okay.
So therefore, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't get bookings quite quickly.
Signing up to become a Cavendish Night myself, I couldn't help but wonder about Tony's certainty that a night would never offer any extras.
I don't think he intends them to do so, and I certainly don't think he takes a cut of any of those services anyway. However, the thought that some of these businesswomen don't have their night turn up for 3 or 4 hours at an event and then say, right, you're officially off the books now, but if you'd like to come back to my hotel, I'll give you another £1,000 for a decent fee, I'm going to do it, just like any other male escort would.
Whilst I was out the next day, I got a missed call from one of the other escort agencies I'd applied to online.
Hi Jeff, it's Melanie calling from Tansy Escorts. With regards to your email, can you give me a call? Good afternoon, reception.
Hello there, can I speak to Melanie, please?
Have you actually dealt with her properly, or have you just a new inquiry?
No, it's a new inquiry. It was about actually signing up to your agency, so...
Alright, okay, well maybe I can help help you, my love? If you give me your contact number, I can look up your details and I can call you back myself. Wonderful. It's just coming up to 10 past now. I'll give you a call back by 15 past, okay?
All right, lovely. Thank you very much.
All right then, honey. My name's Julie.
Okay, Julie, lovely to meet you. Take care.
Bye. Bye, love. Bye.
Bye-bye. She's friendly, wasn't she? She sounded really nice. All right, my love. All right, my darling. Don't worry about it. See, that's exactly what I thought we'd get on the other end of the line. Some like cheeky, lovely northern lady. Right, so she's going to call me back. I'm just quite excited to have human interaction, to be honest. The prospect this actually is happening. Having signed up online with a variety of escort agencies, one had finally been in touch to put me on their books. They needed to be able to get hold of me anytime, so I got myself a camera to make sure I could document every step of the journey.
Hello, it's Julie calling back from Canteen Over, are you?
Hello, Julie. It was only after I'd sent photos and provided all my details that they mentioned I'd have to pay a registration fee. So I need to pay that before you guys can see if there's any work out there?
Well, no, we have to generate all the interest first. I don't want anything from you at the moment. It could take a week, it could be a month, it could be, I don't know, a day. And then I will put forward recommendations to clients in your area. And you can sit back and relax then, and we'll give you a call as and when something shows up.
All right, brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Much to my amazement, the very next day I got a call from their bookings team.
Potential booking that I may have if you're available for Saturday or Sunday evening in London in the Mayfair area.
Great, that's very quick.
We've actually put your details forward in your photograph and she's quite happy to meet with you. Now she's called Sarah.
Sarah?
Yeah, okay. It's simply a social booking, going out for a few drinks and an evening meal.
Okay, what's the fee for that one?
The payment for that booking is £500 for the evening.
Okay, great. Well, yes, I can do Sunday evening.
Right, you'll need to pay your registration. The half now is £150 plus your transfer fee of £19.80.
Excited at the prospect of having my first booking, I went ahead and paid the registration fee, figuring I'd more than double my money with the fee Sarah was going to pay me on Sunday. I couldn't believe how easy it had been to line up a client. The whole thing seemed too good to be true. But then, on the day of the date itself, I realised it was. So it's 2 p.m. on Sunday, and in 5 hours' time I should be going on a date with Sarah. Unfortunately, I've had a voicemail from Candy Escorts explaining that she's had to cancel last minute. I got my money, and my job has suddenly disappeared. Despite calling back repeatedly over the next few days, I could get no one at Candy Escorts to return my calls. It was clear I'd been scammed. Nothing. I feel a little bit silly. I thought it was a little bit more savvy than to get ripped off like this. I just kind of thought possibly in the male escorting world, you had to pay certain things to be on their site, to be legitimate. Digging around online, I discovered various blogs talking about these fake escort agencies. There was also a link to something called Operation Troy, an investigation into these companies being led by Suffolk Trading Standards. So I went to meet with Mark Skillen to learn more. So Mark, obviously, you know, I've been ripped off by Candy Escorts and by this online scam. Am I alone in that? Am I an isolated case, or?
We know from bank account records that we've looked at that there's probably about 18,000 people who've gone through this process,
wow, okay.
paying anything up to £300 a time. The figures
an awful lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of people involved. A lot of people have been scammed. Potential figure overall is £6 million plus. So
£6 million.
This would be pure profit almost to the companies involved because of the very nature of it. They can take the money. People don't get the dates, and then there's the whole embarrassment factor. People are less likely to complain. So it's very clever.
I mean, so what's the sort of status of bringing these people to justice?
Last November, we executed warrants across the whole of the UK. That involved multiple arrests,
okay.
And it's certainly been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, investigation that we've ever undertaken.
So £169.60 I'm now down. However, we have recorded all of the phone calls, and we've got them all recorded on a USB stick, so I'd like to give you that, because that's hopefully some evidence that you'll be able to
use that, and if you provided a statement, that could be used. So
yeah, I will do. Determined to put this first misstep behind me, I realised I was in desperate need of professional advice from someone in the know. The most successful straight male escort I'd found online was Tony James. As an award-winning porn star, he's able to charge far higher fees than anyone else and seemed like the perfect person to learn from. Unfortunately, he was a hard man to pin down. I left him a voicemail asking if he'd be willing to meet up, but from the dial tone, I suspected he was out of the UK. In the meantime, I'd been messaging another straight male escort, Stuart, who was willing to meet up and talk on camera. How many sort of bookings do you get a month then?
It would work out at about one a month.
Okay, what's your rates?
£25 for the half hour, £50 for an hour, and it kind of goes up from there. The first client, as nervous as I was, I think she was even more nervous. Now that I think back,
I'm feeling nervous just listening to it. Right.
Now that I think back on it, I think she was probably a lot more nervous.
Did that end in a sexual experience?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, how long was the booking? The first booking?
That first booking was an hour.
It was an hour. So in an hour,
yeah.
You had to go from quite nice to meet you to.
I gave a bit of leeway on it with obviously because I was chatting
attractive.
I'm not going to deny that, right, okay, guilty. But I think
She wasn't
also-
fit, you would be like, sorry,
Right,
sorry,
just
that's
bang
such
goggles.
a time I'm out of here.
Yeah, sort of look at it the way you would with your girlfriend.
Do you have a girlfriend?
I do.
Does she know you do it? Wow.
At the end of the day, it's going to have to come up sooner or later.
Yeah.
So,
How do you think she's going to react to that, though?
I don't know. I think we've been together for quite a long time, so I'm hoping she doesn't.
How long?
4, nearly 5 years, 4.5 years. I'm not expecting her to be happy about it. If she said, "Will you stop doing it?" I probably would. It's something I like doing, but there is always that moment when you leave and you go, right, okay. Not self-loathing. That's too extreme way of looking at it. But I'm going
Regret for what?
a little bit. Yeah, it's like I'm not saying it's for money,
Yeah.
but it's sort of expressing. And then I go, yeah, I'm on 6 money, and I just go, screw it.
Stuart wasn't exactly what I'd been expecting, and I was amazed he had a girlfriend and still did this kind of work.
It's almost like an element that it's like justification for playing away from home. Oh, well, babe, it's a career. It's a job I do, you know, it's how I earn some money.
He also seemed to be catering for a completely different clientele to what I was hoping for.
He's undaunting, he's unthreatening, and for a lady as a first-time client, he's probably a good choice. However, he could be charging a little bit more than that. I think selling himself at 25 quid for half an hour, and there's no way that I'm going to put myself in that bracket.
I'd also been messaging some of the escorts I was following on Twitter to ask their advice on getting started in the profession.
Patrick's got back to me on the old email, the guy from Twitter with the very fashionable goggles and erection combo. Demand for straight escorts is very limited and unpredictable, as I'm finding out. Rates vary, usually charge £70 to £80, and there is no time limit. So he charges £70 to £80 for as long as they kind of want. You must be on guard against false bookings and wind-up calls. I was punched in the head at one house as I started to fuck the lady, and at another was chased by 2 youths who had sent me to an empty house. Fuck. Another lady had a dog with a litter of puppies, which made me feel anxious, especially as there were 2 men present watching me perform. On one occasion, when I had a lady sitting on me, I was giving oral sex. I was effectively raped as her boyfriend grabbed my cock and put it in himself. I was unable to stop as she was playing with it as well, and I didn't know who was handling. He talks about it in a very matter-of-fact way, but it's quite upsetting. Like the idea that he was actually raped on the job, unknowingly, was forced to have sex with a man. That's pretty awful. However, he also doesn't seem to have the rules and regulations in place that I think you have to have as a male escort. He goes to jobs where there's 2 men in a room and another lady whilst he's having sex with a lady. I would never be outnumbered like that. I think it's a crazy idea.
I trusted my ability to screen clients, but if I was going to do this, I realised I needed to get a better understanding of the risks involved and the places you can turn for support. Looking online, I came across the International Union of Sex Workers and arranged to meet with Douglas Fox, a campaigner for sex workers' rights and spokesperson for the union.
It's a very interesting career to take, but it is risky. You have very few rights under the law, unfortunately. For example, I mean, are you working independently or are you working for an agency?
I think I'd probably end up getting work through my own, off my back, really, working independently.
Technically, that's legal. It's the only way you can work if you work in complete isolation.
Okay.
That's recognised as being legal.
Okay.
And as soon as you work with another partner, another friend, share premises, then it's classed as a brothel. I think being a union legitimises the fact that sex workers work, because some people view sex work as not being proper work, but it is actually work. You know, you're self-employed, you've got to prepare yourself for clients mentally, physically. It's a proper job. Obviously, offer you union protection, help if anything goes wrong, you get free legal advice. It just gives you a sort of peer support to be there to help you should anything go wrong. Because things can go wrong very quickly in this business.
So whilst it may be legal as long as I'm working independently and on my own, I'd still had no bookings, so I wasn't any clearer on what kind of an escort I'd make. I had, however, been put in touch with Jo, a lady who has used escorts in the past and was willing to take me on a trial run.
Hello, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Why would someone like you need to ever go through the process of trying out an escort service?
I just basically really wanted to see what it was like. Not really for the sex side of it so much. It's exciting to do something like that. You know, let's say I'd met somebody locally at home and everything, they're not going to like say, right, we're going to take you to the theatre and, you know, and escort.
So effectively living out your fantasy a little bit of what you want out of a decent date.
A lot of men don't take them to nice places anymore and everything, and they need that, and that's why I think there is a call for escorts.
How much did you have to pay for?
It was, I think it was 120.
An hour?
Yeah.
Okay, 120 an hour. And did you spend like a couple of hours with him or?
Yeah, I had a few hours with him.
A few hours, okay. Was it just company or was it,
yes, it was
an
just
intimate
really,
element? Or?
No, it was really just really for company, really, to be honest.
Yeah, and then did he offer to to give you anything else? Or?
Well, he did, but I just didn't want to.
Really?
It wasn't you, was it?
You declined. If it'd been me, what would the answer be? It would have been yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Really? Mate, money might change hands here, I'm not quite sure. So did I rate a bit higher than
Definitely.
Really?
Your personality is lovely, you're nice looking too, you're well presented, and I have to say, if I was to ever take an escort out again, I'm going for you.
Really?
Actually sitting face to face with someone who could be a potential client made me suddenly appreciate the reality of it all.
She might not be physically what I would normally go for. However, if I was doing this as a job, you know, the difference would be if she turned around and said, look, I'd like to go to a hotel, I'm going to pay you an extra X amount. Yeah, I guess I would. That's your job.
My attempts to become a male escort have been pretty unsuccessful so far. I've been scammed by one agency, and even the real one I joined, whilst they hadn't charged me anything, still hadn't got me any bookings. I realised if I was going to do this, then my best chance of getting work was to set myself up as an independent escort. Keen to get advice on branding myself, I'd arranged to meet with Drake Blaze, a gay escort with a huge number of clients, thanks to his impressive online presence.
You're a bit of a branding king. You know how to get your business, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I got a few lighters engraved.
So do you give these to clients, or do they can buy these up from the website and stuff?
Well, if they want one, I go out and get it done for them. But I've got my t-shirts as well.
Drake Blaze, Google me. I want to sort of brand myself and market myself as who I am, but in my own unique way. What kind of advice can you give on doing that?
Good ways to market is like a look or something. Like I've gone for the emo look. It's a very niche market.
Yeah.
But compared to everyone else up online, they're all buffed up Brazilians.
Yeah, so you offer something different that makes you more exciting. Do you play a character then a little bit when you turn up? Because I'm trying to wonder how I should command myself.
I can remember knocking on the first door, and when I went in, I just went Drake Blaze mode.
Yeah.
And I was really confident, cocky, little Jack the Lad, you know.
Yeah.
I stop and start doing escorting, and that's what you need. Like once I'd done 23 jobs in a week.
Wow. Okay.
It killed me.
Yeah.
But it got me a new computer. You know.
What's the kind of your usual clients?
Such a wide range of people, like businessmen coming down who like drive up in your driveway in like huge rolls or something, and doctors, surgeons, lawyers. They can age from 18 to 87.
87? You've got an 87, or you've had an 87?
I had one. He came to my uni, living on the 6th floor flat in the halls, but the lift had broken, so I had to carry him up 6 flights of stairs just into my room. We just laid there naked for an hour. He didn't want to do anything, of course he couldn't, but he was like, oh, thank you, then he went home. Most of my clients recently have been like Saudi Arabian, Indian, Pakistani. One guy, a Muslim guy, and he came over late at night. His kids were still in the back of the car. He came up, and it was very weird because he had to put a sheet over me and a sheet over him, so he couldn't see me, I couldn't see him, and he just had a bit of a feel. I've been recognised by the Erotic Awards for my disabled work.
Okay.
I've got a few. There was this one guy, he'd lost both legs.
Yeah.
And I went there first, and it was weird because I was like, I don't know what to do, but obviously I didn't treat him like differently.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't had any wheelchair experience and you're flapping around with it, trying to get them in and out, and you've got to basically feed them, wash them, I had to do. What I like about escorting is that when you actually see someone, you're actually part of their life for an hour, for 2 hours, or for a night or something. And you learn from their experiences, you share things, and I've become very cultured since I've started. I've learned to taste wine, I've learned to enjoy the opera.
And this is people taking you out on...
Yeah, I've gone to places I wouldn't have thought. I've been all over the place.
A large part of Drake's success as an escort was down to clever branding and regularly updated photos. I wanted to follow his lead, so I put myself in for a photo shoot and set about deciding on exactly how to sell myself.
This is what I thought. This will be my tagline, kind of glamorous, high-class escorting service with a debaucherous rock and roll undertone. Basically, I look all right dressed up in a suit, but underneath I'm an absolute filth bag.
It's very much like advertising, isn't it?
Photos done, I was ready to put the finishing touches to my website.
Hi, I'm a guy wearing a suit who's going to take you to an exclusive event.
I also needed to decide on an escorting name.
My middle name's Alexander, so I thought why not change my first name to Alex. So Alex, my middle name, and Gold, my first pet's name. So I'm now Alex Gold. The fees are just paid for time and companionship, and anything else that happens is, between two consenting adults. There's the money shot. Pow! Set on my website. I've got my Alex Gold persona. I've just got myself a new mobile phone. I'm ready to start being a male escort.
With the website up and running, I set about doing all I could to advertise it online. So now, it was just a waiting game. Was there anybody out there who'd be interested in what I was selling? In the meantime, I'd been in touch with Jean, a woman who has recently been seeing a male sex worker to explore tantric sexuality to help her break down psychological barriers related to sex. She'd agreed to meet with me on the condition of remaining anonymous.
I've been trying to sort out my sexual issues for years.
Yeah.
I've done so many different counselling, self-help books, the works, but I could talk about it till the cows come home, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling, the essence. And
that something wasn't quite right. Do you mind me asking what kind of barriers you had, or was it?
Well, the barriers were that it was very difficult for me to reach orgasm.
Okay.
I couldn't experience my own body through guilt, wrong, Roman Catholic religion, lots of stuff. I felt it was a shame that I was going to leave this world without really fully experiencing myself. Mm-hmm. We're still labelled as naughty, you know, men are allowed to spread their wings and women aren't. You know, you have to be the good girl, you can't screw around, you've got to be loved, married.
Yeah.
You can't be a bad girl.
Yeah.
That's a slut.
Yeah.
When I've talked to my friends about when we've had played around with having a male escort,
yeah.
a lot of the times it's been about, we can tell him what to do, we can do this, or we could do what time. So they've fun with it. I haven't known any of them to actually go out with a male escort.
Maybe they haven't told you. I might know all your friends. You never know.
You could do. They obviously haven't seen.
Give them my cards. Give them my cards.
I've got a couple that I think would love you.
Really fantastic.
I'd also arranged to meet with Belinda Brooks Gordon, an academic and spokesperson for the TLC Trust, which helps connect disabled people with sex workers. Before talking to Drake Blaze, I'd never considered the possibility of being hired by someone with a disability. But according to TLC, half of the 10 million disabled people in the UK are thought to be in a position where they may need or want a sex worker.
A large number of disabled people do pay for sex. In this country, people find that extraordinary and strange. In other parts of Europe, like the Netherlands, there has been state support for sexual services for disabled people for about 30 years.
Wow. Physically you can't, you need to be helped perhaps into a bed and out of a bed. Who knows what a random person could do to you if they came around to your house.
Absolutely.
And under the premise of providing, sexual service.
Absolutely, and that's one of the other things that TLC does. They have lists of sex workers who are known to have either done sexual surrogacy work or have disabled access at their premises and are prepared to take the time and the trouble to treat disabled people, because a lot of disabled clients' carers do not want to go into the room with the sex worker and undress them for sexual service. And when people learn actually more about the huge variety of the industry and the huge variety of clients, that changes their minds actually quite considerably, because it's a world they didn't know about. They don't know about the young man with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy paying for the first non-medical touch in his life. They don't know about the war veteran whose marriage has broken up, who hasn't had sex for years, and people don't understand that whole variety of clients. So the public view very often of sex workers is actually at odds to the fantastic service some of them provide.
There are so many grey areas within the realm of sex worker and what a sex worker means and what they do. All the way throughout this, I've been quite consumed with the idea of, I'm basically going to have sex with someone I've never met before for money. But perhaps there is a deeper quality to it in a lot of the sex worker industry. And it's quite an interesting revelation for me, especially, because maybe that's what I should be more focused on providing, rather than just a tart with a heart.
I wasn't sure how I'd cope if my first booking was with a disabled client, but then I still didn't know whether I had it in me to get paid for sex in the first place. Since putting up my website, I'd had various messages from people that had ultimately come to nothing. But finally, after starting to lose faith, I've been contacted by a lady calling herself Jasmine, who sounded far more serious than any of the others. I've basically had a bit of correspondence with her, some of which I'll read out to you now. She has said, right, can I hire a hotel and have you there, and does what I say go? And then I said, we can discuss all this on the phone later on this evening, does that sound good? And she's responded with, sounds good to me. I'm a mixture of nervous, excitement, I'm shaking a little bit, but mostly through adrenaline. The prospect that I actually have my first proper client, I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to do this. So I'm going to give her a call and find out. That's the bit I'm terrified about. I've never spoken to this woman before in my life, and now I'm going to be calling her up. The first conversation we're going to be having is about her renting a hotel, paying me 500 quid for me to come and spend the night with her. So it's now 9 o'clock pretty much. 5 hours ago I had a conversation with the young lady from the internet. Her name is Jasmine, who wants to hire my escorting services, and she's ready for me to call her now. She was actually delayed because she was dancing as a pole dancer in a club, so that's why she just got home. She said she's ready. I'm bricking it, to be honest. Like, my stomach's jumping through hoops.
I feel a little bit excited, nerves, but also this is it. Like, if I put this in, then that's it. This is a job now. Anyway, the more I think about it, the more I'm just going to get worked up. So I'm just going to call her.
Hello?
Hello, Jasmine.
Hello?
How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I mean, do you mind me asking, why is sort of me, coming in and providing an escort service for you even attractive to you in the slightest?
When I do go out, it's sort of like you don't go out to get laid, you go out to have fun, to spend time with your friends rather than trying to get laid.
Yeah.
And past experiences have been pretty crap when it comes to the bedroom department.
Is there anything in particular you wanted to try, or you wanted me to bring or to do on the evening?
Well, to be honest, I would actually like to be domino because my job means that I dominate men, and it would be nice for them to actually dominate me rather than, me being in charge.
Okay, yeah. Are there any other questions or anything you want to ask me?
No, I just really hope that you're not a pump-up square, that's all I can say.
No, I'd like to think that my staying power here will be sufficient, and I will make sure you have a fantastic evening.
Oh, I'll hold you to that.
You will be, because you'll be paying me to hold it. Yeah, I will be held to it.
Money back guarantee if you don't satisfy me.
There we go. Like, this is really on now. This is on. This is happening. I just now that worried me, because when she said, just as long as you're not a pump square, I would like to think I have good stamina, but now the added pressure, preparation to be done.
The first thing I had to do was get a full STI check.
They're going to test for chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis and HIV.
Next up, it was time to put my escorting kit together.
This has got to be the best kind of shopping ever. I feel very at home, surrounded by pornography and dildos. It's like Christmas. Need to get some condoms and lube, obviously. What do I need? I should get something to massage her with, like a massager or something like that. Where's nipple cream? You can't find nipple cream until you need them, can you? Yes, over here. Here you go. Perfect. I think that's about it, really.
Now I had all the tools of the trade, I turned my attention to the main product on sale, me. It was time to get my arse waxed.
You need to make sure that your product is the best it can possibly be for the client who's buying it. But who knows? It might not even hurt that much.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's enough filming.
The waxing had been far more intimate than I'd ever imagined, but I was pleased with the end result and started to feel more like the slick, well-groomed, professional escort I was trying to pass myself off as. Despite having bought some Viagra as a backup, Jasmine had got me worried about performing on the night. Thankfully, I'd finally heard back from Tony James, the elite male escort and award-winning porn star I'd been desperately trying to get in touch with. Tony had agreed to meet me after work at one of the largest porn studios in the UK. He was the only straight male escort I'd found who was operating at the level I was aspiring to. And with a day to go before meeting Jasmine, it was a perfect time to get his advice.
Being a porn star as well, how does that kind of help the escorting career?
It helps because everybody instantly knows who I am.
Yeah.
So that gives me credibility with what I'm trying to charge, or
because they know you can do,
I can do the job.
Business. You've got video evidence.
I think half of it with the girls is they want a professional.
Yeah.
They can go out to a bar and get anybody.
Yeah.
But they want a transaction. They want professionalism. I'm 300 per hour.
Wow, okay.
And 1,000 overnight, so I set myself high because
I was going to say that's the upper end, really, isn't it?
I'm well known, almost like you're a James Bond character.
Yeah.
So you're like a little boy still in the fantasy world of
License to Thrill, yeah, that kind of vibe.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah, or license to massively let down. I hope not. Do you ever use little blue pills? Do you ever take Viagra or anything like that?
No, that's the thing about people in the adult movie business, that they're there because they can do it, and they can do it whenever is required. Couples are the biggest money spinner, or you maybe get a husband rings up and wants you to go out to his wife. I always find that the men are almost blackmailing the women into their fantasies.
Do you think they're into it maybe more than the actual woman?
More than the woman, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, which I think is always a bit sad.
Yeah.
Because if he really loved it or wanted to be with it, he wouldn't allow
He wouldn't make her do anything that she's
He
not.
wouldn't allow that in the first place, would he?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of guys either think, oh yeah, we'll have sex for money.
Yeah.
It's great. When they don't actually think about what it actually entails of having sex day in, day out. For instance, if I said, stand up, drop your trousers and get hard.
Yeah.
How easy is it for you to do it?
It depends on the scenario. I've had sex with a woman who was quite a lot older than me. She was early 60s, and I still managed to get an erection and have sex with her,
Wow.
even though I wasn't remotely
turned on by her physical.
Yeah, that's very good. It's a good start.
Is it?
It's a very
It made
good
me
start.
feel really empty afterwards, though. I felt pretty shit about myself.
Emptiness. It's not emotional sex.
Can I expect to feel some sort of almost emotional dropout after?
Emptiness is the first one.
Yeah.
And then you'll feel used.
Yeah.
Then you'll feel pity for yourself. Then you'll go through a bit of why you're doing this.
Yeah.
That it's prostitution, that your mother and father are not going to agree with it, your friends are not going to agree with it, your girlfriends in the future, when they find out, are not going to agree with it.
Wow, okay. So I'm going to expect to feel pretty low after my... What happens then over time? It just that feeling dwindles, or...?
Yeah, you then turn into a robot, where you become very robotic in being there, being focused on doing the job, getting the money, and going home. You know, you might get into it and think, this is not for me at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did it.
Or I might love it.
You may love it.
Yeah.
If you're a bit sad, you might love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Meeting Tony had been far from what I'd expected, but it was his parting words that were to resonate the most.
I mean, is there any sort of words of advice or wisdom you can impart to me?
Don't do it.
Really?
Get out now while you can.
This is a man who has made a career out of the sex industry. And he said, don't do it, don't get involved in it. And that was a weird... I wasn't expecting that.
I knew I could back out and cancel with Jasmine at any time, but despite Tony's warning, I wanted to find out for myself. So after much thought, I decided to go ahead with it. I got the all clear with my STI results, and Jasmine had booked the hotel room, so everything was set.
I'm going to take one of my Viagras because she's probably going to want to get down to business in about half an hour's time, and that's how long it takes to work. So, it feels very business-like. Still doesn't feel very real, but I'm going to just try and treat it like it's a date. Just pretend it's a date that's going to progress extremely quickly. I was more nervous when I was talking to her on the phone, and more excited when I was talking to her on the phone. Now that I'm here, I'm not regretting the decision to do this, but I also am a bit like, I just want to get it over and done with, really. When I see you next, I'll be a whore, but I'll be £300 richer. See you in a bit.
Doesn't feel like an escorting thing. Doesn't feel like a business thing. And it's great. It's like I know that I've fulfilled someone who was lacking that in their life. And she's beautiful and funny and nice, and that is. Viagra works. I'll see what I feel like later on, and whether I still feel the same way. I'm gonna go back out.
The sex had left me buzzing and high on adrenaline, but it was only when the allocated 2 hours were up and Jasmine went to leave that things started to sink in.
She was very nervous when I came in, but she kind of was putting on a brave face, and I was nervous as well. And we just had some brief conversation, we just had a chat.